once they come around, can't let them bring you down. 'Cause you're either living life or letting it pass by. Na, 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 na.
Tonight, on Countdown to Green, we look at how the new cars shook things up at Homestead. The crew updates you on all the stars, storylines, and stats. And Canada's own Dylan Duval stops by the show. All of that and more, coming up on Countdown to Green.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Qualifying Series Countdown to Green, presented by Logitech. It's a special one tonight because we are going back to Cali. Yes, Auto Club Speedway, California Speedway, just outside virtual Los Angeles. We're going to the virtual version of Auto Club Speedway, a nice throwback, if you will, to a track we don't get to see much anymore. I'm Alan Cavana. Great to be here for this race tonight, and great to be joined by two of the best in the business, the man behind the steering wheel, Ryan Vargas, and the man behind the mic, James Pike. How are you, fellas?
Doing good, doing excited. Honestly, no exaggeration. I've had this date circled on my calendar since this schedule came out because I love racing at Auto Club Speedway. It is such an endurance test. It tests your ability to put together a long green flag run. You have to manage tires, manage fuel, manage your car. If you think you're going to win this race in one lap, you, my friends, are sadly mistaken.
Absolutely. And when they made this qualifying series schedule, whoever did it absolutely cooked here, because you had Homestead with these O'Reilly cars last week, and now we're going to Auto Club Speedway. And look, as someone who's had the privilege to race at this track before everything, it's such a fun racetrack, going all the way up against the wall, sending it into the corners, managing the bumps, and feeling the tires give underneath you. This is if you imagine a NASCAR track, this is it.
Oh, I love it. And look, when I think Auto Club Speedway, I think back old school, especially this type of car. Kyle Busch, Kyle Larson, those type of drivers. And James, if you want to, and Ryan, if you want to run this type of stuff, you can do that on NASCAR 25. You can pretend you're those guys. You can make all the laps you want, even start your own career mode.
Absolutely. No, NASCAR 25, NASCAR's official video game. It features all four NASCAR Touring Series, Cup, O'Reilly, Truck, and ARCA. That means that there's over 200 ratings for NASCAR drivers, 200 different NASCAR drivers in this game, detailed laser scan tracks, and that's one of the coolest things is 40-player online multiplayer, which is super incredible to be able to hop on with so many friends. And one thing that I really like about this is, I say it every broadcast, whether you're a pro in the race tonight or somebody who wants to crack open an ice cold Coca-Cola and just play a video game for a couple hours, this is the game for you. All skill level, approachable car handling for beginners and pros. Alan, I am so thrilled and so excited about this game.
Yeah, I love that stuff. And we have not only the racing tonight going on, but James, there's always a bunch of racing going on in the service. iRacing, the college series, that's heating up as well.
Big week for the College Series. Week 2 of the Old Dominion Classic from Martinsville Speedway coming your way tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, eNASCAR.com/live. Going to be a lot of fun to see if anybody can run down Connor Yarchak in the point standings and who gets to claim the first W at Martinsville in any form of eNASCAR competition since the Ignite Series race there back in 2019. You have to go all the way back to 11 when the Coke Series last race there. So not a lot of experience. Not a lot of people can say that they've claimed a virtual grandfather clock, but somebody is going to have that opportunity tomorrow night.
Yeah, I hope they give out an grandfather clock for winning that. That's good stuff. Our version of the tournament representing your college. Let's go back to last week where we had our debut of the O'Reilly cars, at least here in the qualifying series. And guys, familiar face. We had some questions going in, but a familiar face dominated the night.
Yeah, a familiar face. I mean, look, I love this shot, too. The two Coca-Cola cars side by side on track. Good stuff there by our replay team. And right here, Kenny Brady Not clear there. Comes up on Garrett Lowe right there. But James, you see it right here in just this replay. We're going to see a whole lot of it tonight. 3 and 4 wide action. These tires, they're going to wear, and you're going to slip and slide all over this racetrack, running the fence just like those cars up there.
I think we might see it even more tonight because you don't have as much banking, and so that outside line really gets some momentum here going at Auto Club, especially exit of turn 2, so going to be a lot of fun. However, the story at the front of the field was largely the same. Sebastian Marin landing in victory lane again and continuing to assert himself as the name to watch in this qualifying series so far. And as we take a look at the point standings, no shocker that Marin is leading everybody, and he's got a 100-plus point lead over second place in points, Quentin Warman. But a lot of these names up at the top 10, they're split one drivers, and I think they're a huge testament, Ryan, to the value of consistency.
Yes.
Whether or not split one or even some of the split two, we've got a lot of split two drivers in the top 20. Yes, wins are helpful, but if you can string together top 5 and top 10 finishes, you're going to more likely than not end up in free agency.
Absolutely. Getting those consistent runs, being consistently in the top 5. You know, I've run a lot of iRacing leagues, and, you know, one of my favorite mantras is top 5 them to death. If you could just be consistently in that front 5 and put yourself in position for wins, eventually one's going to come your way, but if it doesn't, just finish the race and be there in that top 5.
I think that's hugely important. Also, we start seeing a few sort of different names here. Chris Treppa is on the cut line, tied with Octavio Rondoletto, so we should see some movement on that tonight with the drop included. But a lot of, split 3, split 4, even some split 5. I think realistically, if you are competing minimum top floor splits, maybe in the top 5 round, you've got a shot at this.
Absolutely, and you look at this, the cut right here, right? Chris Treppa, he's a split 4 driver. He has a win. Octavio in 31st, he's a split 1 driver with no wins. So that's the difference right there. If you're one of those guys that's racing at the front, doesn't matter if it's split 4, as long as you're in that front, if you're in that top 3, top 5, you're going to be able to push yourself above that relegation line. And one thing that we're going to take a look at here is the format for the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing qualifying series. We already ran 4 rounds of the Craftsman Trucks. That's already done and dusted. We just completed our first round of the O'Reilly cars last week, and we're going to finish out with 3 more rounds of that. And then we're going to go to the Cup Series cars for the final 3 rounds. Remember, you get 1 drop round, so you want to make sure that you have that consistency, but you can at least kind of sleep a little better if you have a bad race. But, Alan, there's a whole lot to go over here when we look at the coming races.
Yeah, and look, that's why we started with the trucks. We're in the O'Reilly section of it right now. And then we go to Darlington after Auto Club, Bristol Motor Speedway. And the final 3 races are in the Cup car. Chicagoland comes back, Michigan in its high speeds, and Texas Motor Speedway ends it all to determine who gets to go potentially to free agency and the championship series. Gotta love the upcoming schedule we have. 6 more straight weeks.
Absolutely. This schedule is just so incredible to look at. But man, we know what else is incredible to look at? This NASCAR O'Reilly Series car with our Coca-Cola vehicle facts here. Engine, 358 cubic inch V8, pushing out 650 ponies underneath the hood. 4-speed manual transmission, 3,400 pounds weight just to tick over that. Obviously, the Goodyear Eagle slicks, can't go wrong with that. And man, these cars, again, I spoke about it last week, but you look at that itty-bitty spoiler and that itty-bitty splitter. Oh, chef's kiss, James. This is a beautiful looking race car, and we know it's going to put on some beautiful racing here at Auto Club Speedway.
If you like high horsepower and you like a lot of rear traction, this is the car for you. And this is a track that I think suits this as we look at tonight's Live Detect 2 track analysis. We are in virtual Fontana, California, about 45 minutes to the northwest of downtown Los Angeles. This track is 2 miles, just over 3.2 kilometers in length, 14 degrees of banking in the turns, 11 degrees of banking on the front stretch, 3 degrees of banking here on the back stretch. We ran here in the former Contender Series a few years ago, but it's been a little while since we've been racing here at Fontana and Auto Club Speedway. The first race of the qualifying series, but the first time these drivers have seen this at this level of competition in over 3 years. So a lot has changed in the sim since then. It's become more advanced, new, different, and we're going to see a lot of different physics dynamics, and I think tire wear dynamics play into this, but the story at some level is the same. You're going to have to manage your tires if we get a long green flag run. That's always true here at Fontana, Allen.
I love that wild card factor that most of the field may not have run this, certainly, in competition, but someone who has joining us right now. Let's go to an old friend, Dylan Duval, one of the Coke Series championship drivers, someone we know very well. Been waiting on him, been waiting on us to get to him when their season starts. But Dylan, thanks for joining us. How you been?
I've been pretty good. Just been kind of taking it easy over the off season, enjoying my time. Ready to get back into it though. Long off season this time around. So yeah, just kind of been taking it easy. Just having fun with it.
Good. You've been with us since 2016. What keeps you coming back?
It's just the competition. You can't, without getting into a real car and racing at a level that's just not ever something that I'm going to be able to do, you can't beat this competition. There's a lot of money that's on the line now, but for me, I was doing this back when we were racing for very little compared to what we are now. And for me, it's always just been about the competition, how much it means to like run with these guys and get better every year and hone my craft. It's something I really enjoy to do every year.
For the love of the game. That's why we like that attitude. Hey, we got to put your friends. Look, Keegan Leahy, Coke Series champion. Connor Yuroshak trying to get the College Series down this year. Is Dylan Duval next?
I certainly hope so. Honestly, I feel like I have gotten better over the years. I feel like that's something a lot of people can't say, but I do believe I'm better now than what I was 3, 4, 5 years ago. Coming off of 2 playoff runs, I feel like any one of these seasons I could be the champion as long as things go right. And that's really what it comes down to, is just putting yourself in position to let the right situation play out for you. And it almost happened for me last year. Unfortunately, we missed out on the Final Four by about a lap and a half at Texas. But yeah, it's pretty awesome to still be here after this long and still feel like I can go out there and compete for a championship.
We know you are knocking on the door. You have to do it with a good team, a good teammate. When you get there and the championship season starts, is there an ideal teammate for you in 2026?
I mean, it's hard to say, right? Obviously, if you're looking performance-wise, you want someone like Steven. I've been teammates with him in the past. We won a team championship together. So someone like him would obviously be incredible. But yeah, you don't always get to pick who your teammate's going to be, but it's more about just being teammates with someone that you get along with. And another factor is I personally like to be teammates with someone who's on the same setup team in the background. I feel like there's a lot of good chemistry there, and you kind of build a better relationship with your teammate, and you kind of race each other a little better than you would someone else in those situations. So it's like, I'd say probably someone at Dead Zone, or a Steven, obviously, like he's just been on a crazy run as of late. So anyone like that, really. It's more about locking in and focusing on what I need to do more than anything, though.
All right, we shall see. May will be here before we know it. We'll know who your teammate is, and we'll get your season underway. And maybe you'll have a few more die casts by then, because that is a great collection. Best collection we've seen so far here on Countdown to Green. All right, that's Dylan Duval. Looking forward to getting the season started. Guys, it's always good to hear from one of our championship series drivers who's, I got to imagine they're watching the competition, right? All these drivers tonight, they want to be where Dylan is. They're going after him.
I mean, absolutely. They're going to be sitting here. They're watching their competition. They're watching them come up through the ranks. Watching guys like Eddie Ball come through the series. Eddie Kerner, he came through this the Contender Series as it formerly was known, and getting to be in the booth for those races and seeing how he moved through the ranks and how he fared in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Championship Series. Seeing him back in here, watching him go back through it, James. It's always so fascinating to see where these names go, how they end up, and how their story gets told as the season progresses.
Oh, this is also the kind of series where drivers end up announcing themselves as true championship threats. Once upon a time, before he was a Coke Series driver, Donovan Strauss was a competitor for multiple years and then dominated this series, or its equivalent back in the past. And Steven Wilson, once upon a time, before he was a back-to-back Coke Series champion, was throwing it down during the summer in the old format of this. So plenty of drivers have made their names in this series, and Marin is the kind of driver that could be one of those amongst a lot of others here.
We'll see if he can continue this crazy run that he's having in the qualifying series. 3 wins already. Can he get another one tonight? The competition will be strong on a track we have not been to in years. Auto Club Speedway, the bumps, the tire wear, everything we love about it. We're going green right after this.
Racing isn't just a game. It's a way of life. Every lap, every moment. Practice is about consistency. Winning doesn't come easy.
Yo! My turn, Bubba.
Fuel the road. Own the race. Logitech G wheels and pedals available now on Amazon.
How fast could a stock car go?
Born from bootleggers, built by rule breakers. We don't ask permission, we don't seek approval. We just are. The most relentless, unpretentious athletes on the planet. Chasing glory at 200 miles per hour. Defiantly unapologetic. Authentically NASCAR. Hell yeah, boys!
Let's go racing in Homestead. Sebastian Marin, could he possibly seek out a 3rd win in 5 weeks? This race is official. Marin goes flag to flag with a dominant victory in Miami.
I believe in something that I can't explain. The wind is calling out my name. Let it rain on me. You know I put in the hours, and I'm not gonna wait in line. I'm gonna take what's mine for the world to see. You gotta take the lead. You gotta feel the fire. So I see, and I still believe. Take the lead, take the lead, take the lead.
Live from iRacing's virtual Auto Club Speedway in Fontana, California, we say good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to round 6 of the 2026 eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing qualifying series. Well, it is a venue that has not hosted eNASCAR competition in just about 4 years, and the only place you can experience Auto Club Speedway is right here on the iRacing Esports Network. We're happy that you're with us on a Tuesday night, as always, with Alan Cavana and Kenneth Bueno, myself, Evan Pisoko, and Kenneth will jump to you on this one. We're halfway home, right? It's going to be the second race we're seeing with these NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series cars, but take the 11-race campaign as a whole. We cross over the halfway point here tonight. So we've learned in the first 5 weeks, contenders, pretenders, and some who maybe are still somewhere in the middle, they're all chasing Sebastian Marin right now. I don't know if that'll change tonight, but it should be fun, a truly unique challenge up for them tonight.
It's a crazy charge to try and catch Marin right now on the level that he's been on over the last few weeks. But you're right, this is the halfway mark. This is where drivers find out what their identity is like, where they've been, how they've reacted in certain situations. And by now, this is the pivoting moment. If you haven't locked in already, this is the time where you have to do it at a track that is known to have, with these O'Reilly Auto Parts Series cars, lots of slipping and sliding. But thankfully, we're in the state where you never find a dance floor empty.
It's going to be a fun one for sure. And Alan, you were a part of the conversation with Ryan on Countdown to Green. I was going to call it the Ryan Vargas Propaganda Hour, but I agree with him. We know he loves these cars. He also loves this racetrack. And again, it slots into a critical point in the season.
It does. I mean, to be the second race in this format, we have 4 rounds with this O'Reilly car. This O'Reilly car is so classic. There's so much nostalgia for this track. You know, you think of the real world aspect of it. There's a lot of people who miss this place. And then the people who can make it through these 4 rounds and the 3 rounds of the Cup Series, top 30 eligible for the free agency. That's what everyone's racing for tonight.
You see, after tonight, we'll go to Darlington and Bristol. Those are the other 2 races in these O'Reilly Auto Parts Series cars. And then we'll see the drivers hoping to make it to the Coca-Cola iRacing Championship Series race in those same NASCAR Cup Series cars, that they'll do so when they compete for over $500,000 a little bit later on this year. Kenneth, you were the one who said that this maybe is the most difficult stretch of racetracks we'll have on the year. So it's consequential because, yeah, if you've had a rotten 5 weeks, it may be too late for some, but I think still opportunity aplenty for those in limbo.
Yeah, that's true. And when you look at it, again, this quartet, 3 of these tracks have pretty worn out surfaces. Bristol is kind of getting there after the repave, but for the most part, these are all difficult to drive tracks. So with this car, with the lesser downforce that it has and all the powered harnesses underneath, I mean, these are the hardest tracks to drive. And to give yourself a shot, or maybe to have a make or break moment at this point of the season, that's going to be large. And we've already seen from Homestead the way strategy hurt and gained for a lot of drivers in that group. They jumped either from in the bubble to now safe in the top 20 and vice versa. So that means tonight it may be the very same way, given how Auto Club is so unpredictable in its nature.
We have seen 1,679 drivers compete in this series so far this season. Let's introduce you to the best 34 here tonight for round number 6. Adam Garza will start tonight from pole position, a 39.547. It puts the Pioneer Chevrolet on pole. He'll be joined by the number 84, Quentin Warman, in the number 2 spot. Then it is 3-time race winner this season, Sebastian Marin, rolling off from 3rd. He's next to Cody Bias in P4. Michael Cozy Jr., one of the Coca-Cola featured machines, will start on row number 3 next to Daniel Falkenham, your Daytona race winner from back in February. Kevin Champagne and Michael P. Frisch going to make up row 4 with the John Forbes Jr. and Kenny Brady, your top 10.
And Graham Boland, who finished outside of the top 20 at Homestead last week, is going to try to get a better one here from 11. Matt Busa, top 10 in Homestead, 12th here in qualifying. Jacob Wilkerson, Matthew Boniface, inside and outside of row 7. Brian Mercurio, Justin Smith back to 16th. Andrew Navarro, very quick at Homestead last week. He's back in 17th to start. Christopher Pfeffer in 18th. Larry Pace and Garrett Lowe to the top 20.
P21, you'll find Blake Reynolds alongside with Wyatt Tinsley. They'll make up the next row of 2. John Hall and Sean Conklin will start tonight in 23rd and 24th. Matthew Morton rolls from the number 25 spot. He's next to Octavio Rondoletto in 26th. It is the 4-time Championship Series champion Ray Alfala in 27th, next to Kwame Scott. And then row 15, we'll see Justin Campbell and Rocky Boyd.
And then there are the last 4 drivers in this field. Payne Howell in 31st, Blake McCallis in 32nd, and Garrett Maines, that is a shock and all, 33rd on the grid. He is 6th in series points. And Cody Johnson, 34th and final car here from SoCal.
That's a look top to bottom at your Coca-Cola starting grid. Let's stick with that and take a look at our Coca-Cola race analysis, Alan.
70 laps tonight around this 2-mile track. That's 140 miles tonight. Pit road speed, 55 miles per hour. 3 tire sets available with an estimated pit window of 35 to 38 laps for these lean, mean, money-making machines.
I mentioned before that this is a unique experience. You can only see this here on iRacing and on the iRacing Esports Network. Of course, Fontana no longer exists in this state. but continues to live on in the iRacing service. We've seen iRacing intersect with NASCAR history in some unique ways in the past, including the rejuvenation of North Wilkesboro and some other racetracks that maybe weren't existed anymore but came back. And of course, any racetrack that's ever been scanned in iRacing will live forever. This racetrack is such a treat and a unique opportunity that we get to see it at eNASCAR competition for the first time since 2022. You get a lot of race winners. In fact, all three of your top split winners on the year so far here competing in the top split again tonight. But Adam Garza would love to get his first trip to victory lane of the year. It's his field as the pace car goes to pit road, and we say, let's go racing in SoCal. Well, they already spread out to 4, maybe 5 wide at moments, using every inch of these wide, sweeping Fontana corners. Up front, Warman, new race leader in the number 1 position. The battles are for 5th position on back, 3 wide. That's Cozy, center of it all, in the Coca-Cola red.
Remember how we talked about Homestead last week being a track of all types of lines? Auto Club is the same, 10 times 10, with everything going on, 3 and 4, almost 5 wide, especially down this long front straightaway. You can use all of that asphalt down to the inside of the white line, as long as you make sure you step out back in turn 1. Kevin Champagne had a big checkup in the opening lap, mid-turn 1 and 2, so he's dropping in the middle of the group. Meanwhile, the 3 machine, at the moment, Michael Cozy Jr. doing what he can to split the difference on John Forbes Jr. and Daniel Falkingham. But these first few laps have been all about finding that clean air. It's where you're seeing, like Homestead, everyone step out of line as much as they can.
And out front, we saw Quentin Warman get control of this race. That's one thing we didn't see last week. He was fast, he was near the front, but he could never get control as the leader. And once again, he's got that beautiful throwback scheme, reminiscent of Kyle Busch back in those Hendrick days. And guys, as someone who covered this track for a decade, Kyle Busch was very good here. Maybe that's good vibes for Quentin Warman.
Mitchell, we haven't raced here since 2022, so while the track on iRacing hasn't changed since then, these NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series cars have. They've gone through several dynamic drafting updates. Of course, one just a couple of weeks ago, which we mentioned was a focus point of drivers before the Homestead race last week. So this is a first opportunity at a sample size with this talent level for these drivers to race at a big track like this in these cars, because this track isn't on the NASCAR calendar, less frequently used, especially in official racing on the service, where a lot of these top drivers will often find themselves competing outside of these Tuesday nights. As always, we've got dual split action here for you. Our friends down in split number 2 already under their first caution flag of the race. Clean and green for the time being up front in this 70-lap dash in Fontana. Warman continuing to lead. It's Garza and Marin battling for second and third. And the battle you watch there is between Michael Cozy Jr. and Marin. That one for fourth and fifth.
And that one wonderful detail of a track like Auto Club. Again, 3 wide, Kevin Champagne, John Hall. There's Ray Alfala down the inside with Sean Conklin in the middle. Much like its sister track, Michigan, which we will see in the Next Gen Cup cars in race 10 of this 2026 qualifying series schedule. You've got the best of both worlds like Hannah Montana. You've got the fast drafting on the straightaways, where you have to use that sort of super speedway mindset to build runs, work the drivers in a line, and figure out kind of who your friends are to help you around the speedway. But then you have these corners, as rough of a surface as Auto Club has, it shreds up these Goodyear Eagles. So you have to manage your tires, be disciplined in the corners, like you're running an intermediate track like Homestead last week. So you get best of both sides. You really have to master that. And really, Alan, it's kind of an art when you're able to mix those two together and create a solid race.
And you can see all the lines and options that it's giving these drivers. When you're watching, that's the looking back from the leader right now. That's the best look you could have if you're any of these drivers out here, is looking at the rear view. Quentin Warman not concerned with that. Again, being able to be in the lead, getting the laps out there in the clean air, controlling the race is so important in any type of racing, but especially here in the co-qualifying series. These are things we haven't been able to see him do in the first 5 races of the season so far. So quality laps for him right now as he gets out there. It's just a matter of him being able to stay in control. We know Seb Marin running in fourth right now, is going to pounce at some point a little further back in the field. Ray Alfala, 25th, guys. We were excited. This big story coming in to the qualifying series this year was his return. What could he do with it? It's been a struggle for the legend himself, but Ray Alfala stuck back in the pack trying to get some positions here right now.
He's picked up a few spots, but again, you can see how crazy it is from his perspective in the midfield. Passing and those opportunities get to come at premium because everybody is all over each other. Hard to differentiate yourself as you see that number 20 right on the door of Alfala as that battle continues on. One thing I picked up on was the outside was the place to be on the initial start of this race. Michael Cozy Jr. just now getting the spot back from Daniel Falkenham, the second of our Coca-Cola featured cars, but on the start, Warman, who started the outside of Garza, got that top spot away from him. Bias, who started on the outside of Marin, took that spot, and Falkenham, who started on the outside of Cozy, got that one. So it was the outside who had the better start, or maybe that first run off of turn number 2 that benefited them on the initial start of this race. Now that we've settled in, though, drivers picking and choosing where they want to go. 3-wide action, top split up top, and on the bottom, split number 2 going back under green flag conditions after they had the early yellow flag down there. Remember, you're looking at about the top 10 or so drivers in split 1. That's where the big points are. You go to split 2, well, then you're looking for the top 5 or so. The valuable points get less and less the further down the split you fall.
Yeah, we saw in the early portions of the pre-race show just how powerful even being at the top of split 2 is consistently. If you can rack top 5s, top 10s, maybe win a couple of races, you can garner enough points to hang with these guys who have been running split 1 every single week of this 2026 season. That's just because of the way these points swing and the way you also think about certain drivers that were at the bubble at Homestead. Out of Homestead, they were either comfortably in the top 20 or way beyond the marker to beat. It's been great to see the way the different tracks have played the challenges for the drivers and also the way that the points work in all of these splits. 14 total tonight. So you've got a wide margin of all of these hopefuls just trying to squeeze by. And that second split, good racing after the restart.
And back up here in the top, of course, that's not why, Kenneth, that's why we see the aggression, right? That's why we see the passion and the moves that throughout the top splits, throughout all the splits, because of how important each position can be. Even if you're not in this top split, the valuable, you can top 5 them to death, as Ryan Vargas said on the pre-race show, and that can get you into the top 30 in points no matter what split you're in. If you're in split 2 or 3, here's I think this was a look back earlier at something that happened down in the second split. Or is this yeah, we see this. It's familiar names. Tyler Gary, Thomas Lloyd, Tyler Latterell, who's up there in the points, again, having another good run here in the second split.
You're watching the battle for the number 12 spot that's got Bitts, Bowers, and Basin. They're 3 wide. Worth noting, Thomas Lloyd, your race leader right now with this live look in split number 2. He comes into tonight 18th in the standings, the 6th highest driver of those who competed in split number 2 last week. So again, valuable points on the line here. Even though there are not as many of them available as what you get if you're completing in the top split itself. But a lot of the same. And again, they haven't had an opportunity to kind of work a 5 or 10 lap run in yet. So this might as well be their initial start because they had that yellow so early on. As you can see, a big moment there down to the inside, the 42 of Carson Bowers. I don't know if that 34 of McClenny got loose or just tried to throw a late block, but it was a moment, and he used just about every bit of that racetrack. Again, you can see there's kind of 5 distinct lanes with those seams in the pavement through the corners here in Fontana, and if they want to get aggressive, they can even dice them up even more so from there.
Yeah, that was a half block, potent half block there on the back straightaway, down the bumps here at Auto Club Speedway. And you kind of think, well, maybe that's the reason why you can get a yellow so early, even after the initial start, is because you're going 4 and 5 wide. All these cars are sliding around, even on the cold tires right now. So when you have a run like this and you have everybody in the draft, it gets really tough, and you eventually have some miscommunication, ultimately some contact, and you had a bit right there as Bowers continues to cut through the field.
We'll jump back to top split here as we look at the battle for the number 11 spot. Michael P. Frisch, Christopher Pfeffer, some of the drivers in the mix there right now. You can see some 3 wide behind them. That's going to be tail end of the teens. But there's been a couple of moments, though, in the top split. The drivers have been very busy on the radio talking about some close calls, but we've gotten away with it still. Now working under green, lap number 14 of 70, still here in split number 1. We'll take a second look at one of those moments that we missed in a split screen look here while we continue live. On the bottom of the racetrack, this looks like it's coming off of turn number 4. Drivers carrying speed, and right there, a hook into the wall. And that is a high speed. That's a full-blown accident. I mean, it cut one truck, or one of the cars, spinning through the grass behind, but off of the racing surface, you see how much grass is down there. Cautions are automatically thrown or not by the sim based on where they are and if they have an impact on cars that are competing on the racing surface. So I think they get away with one there because the car spun on the grass. I don't know if in real life you would have got away with one, but we do. And the bad news there is Matthew Boniface was the driver down and out. He's 4 laps down now and on pit road.
And also the driver involved in that, Garrett Maines, top 6 in the point standings coming into tonight. And I mentioned shock and awe that Maines didn't have a qualifying time, had to roll from 33rd on the grid. And Alan, that is kind of what happens, especially at tracks like these when you're at the back, you've got 3 wide in front of you, you've got all these drivers jockeying for position, you're kind of in the middle of it, bit of that contact you can be involved in, and much like for Maines, Kwame Scott, Boniface, all those drivers, they didn't get the benefit of the yellow to slow them down, so now Maines has to work even more from behind than he has at the start.
We see the benefit of track position. We also see the complete opposite. When you are a good, fast car but stuck in the back of the field, just last Sunday, if you're watching in real life, Bubba Wallace had a great car, stuck in the back of the field, got caught up in something, ruined a good day. That can happen right here tonight as well. No yellow, back of the field, you have to make your way through. Slower car, sure you may have a fast car, but to make your way through is tough to do in this series, in any series, but in this top split, each of these positions is going to be such a dogfight.
New race leader at the front of the field, your pole sitter Adam Garza. That lap getting back around Quinton Warman and leading his first lap of the afternoon. So Warman from second, got the jump on your leader on the opening lap, led the first 15 laps of this race. Now Adam Garza clear and out in front in the ongoing battle for the race lead. This battle still sees the number 20 Michigan Wyatt Tinsley center of all of it. He'll decide to go to the inside of the racetrack in 3 and 4. Number 19 way up the hill. That's Matt Busa trying to carry speed. 14 degrees of banking here in Fontana, furthest for the most you'll find, but some drivers finding success in taking that high line around, staying on the throttle as much as they can. We heard Garrett Maines, the incident that had happened a little bit earlier on, Kenneth, that you alluded to. Well, Garrett Maines is 31st on the racetrack. He's 5 seconds off of the pack, and he got the least out of that incident. Scott Pace at Boniface even worse off.
Yeah, he thankfully got away without any damage, and he was right in the middle of that. I mean, he had a car basically sideways right in front of him. He went slow enough to the point where he didn't get a dent on the front end of his Toyota, but look at the way he's trying to just rally off hot lap time after hot lap time, and he's slowly gaining some of that. Again, like Alan mentioned, it's a good car. Garrett Maines is a strong driver. It was just that qualifying effort that put him way back, and he's had to really be more desperate in the way he has to push hard, be aggressive. We know how aggressive Garrett Maines can be when he's at the wheel, and he can be able to make it work. It's just him trying to figure out that. Is here comes Cody Bias, challenge for the lead on the inside. Warman and Garza going to work together on the high group, but Bias is giving him a shot for the race lead.
Adam Garza locked in, has the headband on, oh, good old USA. Look at him as he's running here at the front of the field. It's fun to watch, right? Adam Garza, again, one of those stories about trying to climb that ladder. Been doing this a while, but trying to make it to the Coke Series, Championship Series. And this would go a long way, certainly. He's been doing well here in the top splits, leading now. But to finally climb and make it is what we want to see of these stories right now.
So all of a sudden, 4 or 5 drivers in the battle for the race lead. It includes the number 27 on the bottom. Cody Bias started 4th. Roll the way up now as high as 3rd, but Michael Cozy Jr. going to get the better of him in that run off of the corner. And I think it's a good transition because I noticed the Duval Creative logos on the Cody Bias machine, who's way down on the bottom. Let's bring back in our driver analyst for the afternoon. It's longtime eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing veteran, and pause because Bias often in the grass, contacted a battle for 3rd. He's the only one who goes off of the racing surface. It's a good save for Bias. the leaders carry on. Garza holds on to the race lead. And in all of that, Bias will go from a top-running car, finding himself now way down the running order in 30th. So, Dylan, not the transition I wanted in the end for the guy who's got your name on the car, but you've been a long-time driver in the championship series. You've been able to compete here in Fontana in the past. What's your thoughts on the Auto Club Speedway?
Yeah, the Auto Club Speedway has not been very kind to me personally on a professional level doing this, but it's honestly a lot of fun to drive. It kind of allows you to move around a lot. At a track like this, you're it's really weird how you have to run it. You're not really, it sounds silly, but you're not really fighting for where you want to run in the corner. It's more a battle of where you end up on the straightaway. So more so than moving wherever your car's fastest, you kind of look for the clean air in the corner. Then you absolutely have to make sure that you get up to the top or wherever the line of cars are for the straightaway. It's definitely a fun dynamic, almost like super speedway racing, but with the added twist of needing the clean air in the corner. But yeah, it's definitely a fun track. Hasn't been very good for me, but yeah, definitely a fun track. Absolutely hate that for Cody. I'm gonna blame you guys for jinxing him, so thank you for that. But I just feel bad for Cody. He runs so good in these races, and stuff like that just happens to him all the time. Wrong place, wrong time for him, but hopefully his car's not too bad and he can come back and beat the finish out of this thing.
We're seeing these drivers obviously using the track to their advantage. They're using the width. They're being aggressive. The battle we're watching right here with the number 54 machine is back at about the number 18 spot. You got Reynolds, Justin Smith, John Hall, and others back here. But we made the note, in eNASCAR competition, at least, we haven't raced at the Auto Club Speedway since 2022. When a track is, I don't want to call it out of sight, out of mind, because it's a beloved track by many. But when it's a racetrack that's not part of the regular rotation anymore, for these drivers coming into this, does that present any more of a challenge racing here than, say, Darlington next week? Because Darlington's a track that they're doing an official and NASCAR stuff otherwise. Or, are these guys at the level to where, if you're competing in a top split, you've probably been around for several years and it's not really that unfamiliar for you?
Yeah, it's kind of a mix of both, to be honest with you. I think the guys who have been in the championship series for a long time and don't really do as much official racing, I think those are the guys who actually are at a little bit of a disadvantage being back here. A lot of these guys who are doing official racing more often and getting their iRatings up for that purpose probably have more recent experience of this track, where someone like me, I haven't ran a lap at this track since the 2020 championship series race. So I think there's a lot of guys like me who are going to be at a disadvantage just with recent lap count. Then there's going to be those guys who do the official racing who won't be as bad. Yeah, I think it's definitely just a mixed bag of who's at an advantage or disadvantage.
And Dylan, as someone who's been in this series for a while, you've kind of been able to see the evolution of other drivers that join you. Obviously this new format this year where you're going to have the drivers join you and the rest of the championship series group in a different way than it has been in years past. So with your time and experience, how have you seen the competition evolve, the drivers that have gone through the revolving door of this ladder to make it to the top level, and what you've noticed the most from this?
I think the thing I've noticed the most from this is Sebastian Marin and just how insane he's been. I think I'd be very surprised if he's not a part of the championship series. I feel like he's someone who everyone in that series is going to have to really worry about for a long time to come. He's been honestly incredible. I think that as far as the competition goes, there's about a handful of guys who will run extremely well in this and then struggle when they get to the championship series because it is just so much different on a competition level and how you have to race the races. I think there will be a learning process for a lot of those guys. And yeah, it's really hard to explain to someone who hasn't done this, just like how big the competition step up is from the qualifying series to the championship series. I think there's some guys who will be in for a little bit of a rude awakening when that happens, but this is a really good opportunity too for those guys to come in here get some experience that's pretty relative, and really be able to like make the most of it and try to transfer that to the championship series.
Dylan, we can see Seb Marin on the screen along with you right now. You know, all these drivers, 11 straight weeks of honing their skills. What are you doing to stay on top of your game? Because May will be here soon enough, and you want to pursue that championship once you start. What are you doing to stay on top of your game?
Yeah, it's mainly just helping our guys on dead zone racing with the qualifying series here. In this race, we have Cody Bias, like I said, Blake Reynolds. More so been trying to help them out, and I've been doing some official racing here and there, something that I normally don't do, but just trying to keep on top of it, stay sharp. But I think my real process of being back in the swing of things hasn't really started yet. I'm someone who turns a lot of laps for these races each week, the championship series races, and when this series moves on to the Cup Car portion, I'm planning on treating those races as proper championship series races for myself and run all the laps that I would, even though I'm not competing. I think that's going to be my way to make sure I'm back and ready to go when this thing fires up in May.
Still watching Adam Garza leading this race. He's led the last 14 laps uninterrupted. Quinton Warman, who led the early ones, we saw the moment at the front of the field. He's down in the number 26 spot. So that's kind of how things have shook out with the running order right now. We'll might catch back in with Dylan again in just a little bit, but we appreciate his insights. Dylan Duval, one of the longtime series veterans of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Championship Series. And Kenneth, we're almost halfway through this 70-lap race. We saw the early yellow in Split 2. So far, nothing of that like here in Split 1. We've had a couple of big moments, none of them yet have brought out a yellow, and to be talked about on Countdown to Green, the 35 to 38 lap pit window aligns really nicely with a one stopper. We're getting close to that point if things stay green.
And now it's coming down to one of the hardest parts of the race, which is having to slow down in enough time from over 180 miles an hour, get down a pit road speed limit, get on the straight path to that commitment cone, and do not speed, and get out in a nice place as well on the fresh Goodyear Eagles. And that's where I think all these drivers here in the mid-pack are figuring out, because they understand now that window is starting to come into play. So they're going to try and be aggressive for all these little positions before eventually the aggression tones down maybe just a bit and they start to head down pit road.
Well, as we close it on the halfway point in split number 1, split number 2 running just a little bit behind where the top split drivers are running. We jump into live coverage now of split number 2. They are just now working lap number 29 of 70, so that puts them about 9 laps behind where things are in top split. Carson Bowers driving into the number 24 spot, and just as we say that, you saw for a moment trouble in the split screen. There's a caution in split 1. We stay in split 2 for the moment. Bowers, one of your eNASCAR college drivers representing Purdue University. He's got a busy week if he'll be in round number 2 of what's coming up tomorrow night here on the iRacing Esports Network with the Old Dominion Classic in Martinsville. Right now, P25 and struggling into the outside wall that time off of turn number 4.
And a driver that, much like many in this qualifying series, Evan, working with one of those eNASCAR Championship iRacing Series teams in the Williams group, how great they've been over the last few years. Parker White, Donovan Strauss, a great team they had last season. And for them to be in collaboration with a driver like Carson Bowers at a young age and kind of double dipping like many are in the college series and here in this Coca-Cola qualifying iRacing series, it's been really cool to watch. But now in this second split, as the first one goes under yellow and the idea of green flag stops kind of goes out the window, now here might be this possibility of them also going into a long green flag run. You just see how the tires have worn down, the drivers that are moving up and down through the field. I mean, Thomas Wood had the fastest car on the racetrack. All it took was Jake Nichols just to get around nearing the point of halfway. Although that window is going to be a little bit later in the race, so it will be a little bit more pressure filled in that sense.
Some varying weather conditions as well as they race mostly overcast conditions, but sun peeks out every now and again, and kind of the the V2 or the new version of what we're seeing with dynamic track is obviously going to have an effect on how these cars and how the racetrack interact with one another if those outside weather conditions continue to change. But again, we're seeing these drivers fan out in the corners and then really kind of compress up towards the outside wall on exit. Has been the story in both splits. As you take a look now at what's going to make for an easy pit strategy decision in your top split, because the caution coming just on the doorstep of what we were expecting to have green flag pit service. That's not the case. So they all come down pit road together. It takes the drama out of that, but it does mean that you got to be that much more perfect in the box, because a 2-second mistake under yellow could cost you a dozen spots. Under green, depending on how spread out you are, might cost you 3 or 4. So race leaders on pit road in split 1, up top in split 2, they're still squeezing 3 wide, making it for some dicey calls.
Yeah, being aggressive right now in the second split as they're still under green. We see the replay of what happened down there at the top split to put us under caution. That paved the way for an easy strategy call, but that second split that we're looking at now, as they come up on the potential of making green flag stops, everybody's trying to get what they can, 3-4 wide, but imagine this, and then differing strategies when coming down pit road. You're trying to get out of this mess to get down pit road. We may see that here in a lap or two, trying to go from the top to the bottom to get to pit road. That's what makes these green flag laps and different strategies so potentially dangerous.
And that incident in split number 1, Michael Cozy Jr. was in line. Blake McCandless and Sean Conklin, 3 cars lined up. The black number 20 was McCandless, who was spun around in the grass. No damage. In fact, it looks super similar to one of the incidents we had earlier that didn't trigger yellow. That was just a single car spinning down to the inside of the racing surface in the tri-oval on the front stretch there. This time it does trigger the caution, so that's why things are slow in split number 1. Meanwhile, here in split number 2, not this time by, but the next time by, they are going to be halfway home as Jake Nichols, to the point we made a few moments ago, is settled into the race lead spot. Lloyd and Armstrong, they've been up there for plenty of all of this. We touched on Tyler Latterell a little bit ago. He's picked up some spots up to the number 6 position at the moment, so drivers taking advantage of some of the yellows and restarts that have happened down here in split number 2.
And again, lots of those contenders that through early races this season have been a factor. You think in Phoenix, where Jake Nichols, Tommy Lloyd, Joe Armstrong were kind of in the mix for Joe Armstrong winning a race at Las Vegas Motor Speedway in the second event of the season. These are all drivers that have now created kind of a home in split 2 and have mostly been the dominators at the front. And then you look at a driver like Tyler Gary, someone who was in the Coca-Cola Championship Series last season, someone who was, like a lot, trying to get very back to the same level that he was last season after a tough ending to 2025, but a good run right now. And right now, really in this run, you're starting to see that big time separation. That's where the tire fall off and the setups are mattering so much in this cooler track temperature.
And kudos to Tommy Lloyd in that 21 car, just out of frame here as he tries to get the lead back. But he's racing not far from me in Matthews, North Carolina right now. He thought he was going to struggle, guys, in this O'Reilly car to compete. Wasn't sure how he would perform with this car, hadn't done well. And there he is up there leading laps early on in this race, now pursuing the lead once again. So doing better than he thought he would be. We'll see how this potential green flag strategy changes things.
Gossett, Latterell, 2 drivers who are top 20 in the points coming into this evening, again making the most out of what they get out of those split number 2 points available. Of course, Latterell, the highest runners of those in the number 5 spot. Bottom of your screen, we are going back underway. A green flag with 34 laps to go in the top split. So now both split 1 and split 2 brought into sync now that they both had at least 1 yellow flag in this one. Second split, top of your screen. They're on the end of a long run. They cannot go to the end of the race without a trip down to the pit lane. Will they get a green flag cycle? On the bottom, different story. Your leaders, they are all now good to go. Garza defended the lead, did not lose it on the pit cycle, and he's trying to get away from a bunch of hungry drivers who are going to not play nice on this restart.
And we talked about track position, how it has mattered in certain senses with Garrett Maines at the back here at Auto Club and the drivers up at the front in Garza and, of course, in drivers like Sebastian Marin. But the movement is still happening. Wyatt Tinsley is up now 17 spots since the drop of the green flag from back in 22nd. He's now scrapping with these drivers in the top 5. Graham Boland made a jump up 5 since the drop of the green. Andrew Navarro plus 10, a driver who we weren't really talking about in the first sector of this race. Now, as he's a top 5 driver in the series standings, putting himself right where he's been all season long after a Homestead race where didn't feel like he had enough to win, but still had a fast car to finish well. Now he'll run on the inside of Tinsley, right behind Michael Cozy Jr. playing the defense off turn 4.
Great action on fresh tires. Quiet Wyatt is what we should call him, because he does this every week, it seems. Like he starts mid-pack and just quietly drives his way through, not with a bunch of aggression, not usually kind of ticking people off. But look, he's been there, right? He's been to the championship series. He's won in the championship series. He knows what it's like to get there and the struggle it is to get back. So he needs runs like this, even as he picks a few spots off one by one here, and now runs about 7th place in that 20 car.
You see the 3 wide battle. Wyatt Tinsley has been seemingly in the middle of 3 wide every time I look at him since the restart, but the change has been where. He started this race back in 22nd. He's a top 10 car right now. Losing a spot, though, that time through because the man with the 1 was Graham Boland. Big head of steam. Nowhere to go, though, for that number 48 machine, so he'll have to chill out and drop back in line and try it again as he now finds himself chasing down what's going to be the Andrew Navarro machine in line. So midfield again, and I thought it was an interesting point from Dylan when we were talking with him, Kenneth, the fact that you're kind of racing to aim for where you're going to be on the straightaways to work this draft. And we talked about it a lot at the start of the year, right? It was obvious when you're at Daytona. But a track like Fontana, that dirty air and that draft, definitely a major player. It's no Atlanta. It's not full super speedway racing, but that's the name of the game.
Yeah, it's all about momentum here at tracks like Auto Club, and especially when the track surface is as rough as it is, any bobble, any mistake, I mean, that's going to carry you down the next straightaway and then into the next corner where you have to just slowly recuperate any mistake that you make, especially in the middle of the pack when everyone is so tightly knit together. So I think that's a great point from Dylan. You have to set up for the draft. You have to set up for especially what we've seen from the outside line, how they all gather in a single file train and push each other. If you're a car on the inside, you can regain some time on the bottom in the corners, but you have to make sure you get right in line as soon as that draft train starts to build up. And look at all those drivers in the back where Sean Conklin and a bunch of other drivers are in the mid group. That's where the draft has become so important in the middle of 3 2-wide action that are several rows deep. As you get the onboard look with one of our Coca-Cola cars right behind Blake Reynolds and Ray Alfala. That is someone who's trying to cut his teeth in the middle of the group. And again, watch that. Not a run on the inside. He has to tuck in line, find space.
Inside of 30 laps to go in Fontana. Coverage of tonight's race is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of eNASCAR. By Logitech G, the official wheel and pedals of eNASCAR. And by the Sim Racing Expo. From the Green Hell to the Queen City, the world's largest sim racing expo is racing into Charlotte Memorial Day weekend 2026. Adam Garza has now led 27 laps consecutively. That was after Matthew Morton, or Quinton Warman, I should say, led the opening 5 from the number 2 spot. Warman involved in I'll call it an accident. Didn't trigger a yellow, but it dropped him way back. Is trying to climb through the field. He's up to 17th, but I think it's going to be a tall order for him to get to the top in the 27 laps that are left. So you look at who's around your leader, Garza. Kenny Brady, Daniel Falkenham, Andrew Navarro, a lot of big names, Kenneth, who could get the job done. They have not allowed Garza to get away, really. He's sitting right now at about 3/10 back, but I also don't know if they've showed that they've got something to go up there and drive around him yet.
Yeah, I think right now where you've seen this run develop, a lot of it is just saving the Goodyear Eagles, making sure that, what Adam Garza did in that first run can be replicated, if not at a better rate. So you start to slowly gain time, stay back in the draft, you maintain a bit of that clean air, and then you've got that play in hand. Well, I mentioned the later window of second split because they had an early yellow in the race. But now here they are, longest run of the night for them, and now they have to find their trip down pit road. There's Joe Armstrong on the bottom, driver who's already won in this 2026 season, Evan. It gets real difficult when the traffic blends and you've got fresh tires on a surface as worn down as this, Allen, because those cars can be just as fast and they make those old tire cars look like they are standing still.
Yeah, you get beat by a lap in terms of pitting and different strategy. That can ruin the entire run for the rest of the race. As you can see now, this one lap could make a difference in that second split after the first lap caution. Again, pitting a little later with the strategy after the long green flag run. But just this one lap, it'll be interesting to see how much of a difference that makes in the second split and the racing that they've had after the long green flag run. Meanwhile, up top of the top split, I mean, still 4 wide, 4 different lanes, sliding all around. A lot of action as you go further back in the field. Garza maintaining that lead. I still look that 5th place Sebastian Marin. Haven't heard much from him tonight. I think we will before the night is over. But we go back in the field, 84. Quentin Mormon try to make up those spots.
Yeah, surprisingly quiet night for Marin, which if starting 3rd and running 5th is an off week, sign me up. I'll take that. But P5 is quiet and again getting the job done for the man who has been known to make a splash thus far. On board with Blake Reynolds, who rides right now in the number 19 position. He's been kind of stuck here in the midfield as well all night long. Behind him 4 spots is Garrett Maines. Wanted to note that because Maines was involved in another moment in the first half of the race that cost him track position. Your race winner from a couple of weeks ago in Rockingham, trying to claw through the field and get up to Blake in a battle for the number 21 spot, but inside of now 25 laps to go, battling 2-3 wide in the midfield. Unless this thing gets crazy, I just find it hard to visualize any of these cars in this mid part of the racetrack all of a sudden flipping a switch and getting up inside of the top 10. We'll see if they can prove me wrong nonetheless. The number 91 of Kevin Champagne, the guy making it 3 wide just in front of Reynolds as they work lap number 48 down the back straightaway.
And for Blake Reynolds, this needs to be a big night for him. He's minus 12 to that top 30 cut line going into tonight's race from Auto Club. So he needs at least a solid run. And while you can't realistically say he's going to go up to the front and win this race outright unless something crazy happens, he can still gain a few positions. And with all of this pack racing, that is very plausible, especially in this earlier part of the run. So if you're Reynolds, you just got to hunker down, find a way to pick one off, lap by lap, and then with 22 laps to go, you can just count that up and gain as many positions as possible, and that will help a ton.
Trouble down the back straightaway. No caution. We stay green. I think it was Cody Johnson who got spit out of line. He's the one apologizing over the radio, so something must have happened off of turn 2 exit for Cody Johnson in the 16. He started 34th, worked all race long to get himself up into the number 19 spot. You blink, well, he's now down in 31st position. All of that work over the course of some 50 laps went away. Let's see what happened. He's the all-white Chevrolet on the bottom, and we talk about they compress up the hill. He just walked too far up the hill, not clear, got into one of the drivers up top, and I guess it could have been worse. It was a good save. He used that wide paved apron, but man, that's tough because, again, you can work your butt off, Kenneth, for 50 laps to get 15 spots, and you can lose them in a blink of an eye.
Yeah, he was already going to lose spots in the draft, but can we call that a semi-commentator's jinx? We were just talking about Blake Reynolds, and all of a sudden he gets a car on his inside making contact. And, I mean, had it been at any other angle, Allen, it could have been much worse. It could have caught Reynolds in it. Thankfully, all the cars stay out straight on a very paved back straightaway, so you're very far from the inside wall.
Yeah, paved, bumpy back there, and it's just one of those incidents, you know, again, as you said, 50 laps into the race, and now you have that trouble. But there's still good racing, especially out front. I'm just getting just all the memories and feels of this place, especially these long straightaways. As you go into the corner, you can see the pass, and you can see the setup to some of these potential passes where you can almost ride the bumper of that car in front of you and almost push them a little too far that they want to go before making that left turn down into 1 or down into 3. We're going to see some of that here, how these cars get connected, and the aggression is going to pay off. But a lot of good racing and memories here at Auto Club Speedway as the field widens out. It's just beautiful stuff.
And again, there may be a future for Auto Club Speedway. The short track renderings and diagrams that have made the rounds on social media may still be in the future, but happy that forever this configuration, the 2-mile D-shaped oval that is Auto Club Speedway, will live on in its laser scanned version and could be a part of eNASCAR competition for a long time into the future. Inside now of 20 laps to go in split number 1. We're not there yet, but as you look at this battle for the lead, Navarro, who had 0.3 of a second, that's down to about a 1/10.5 or so. And again, that's going to ebb and flow based on where you are on the racetrack. Garza gets a great run down the backstretch, gets to the bumper. They'll spread back out when they dive into the corner. So I haven't seen Garza get the position yet, but if you're Andrew Navarro, I think you're going to be a little bit nervous now in that number 1 position as the new race leader. You got around Garza. You thought maybe that was going to be easy. You're going to walk away. Not the case. Garza will not let him get away. And if these two start scrapping, you got Brady. How about Daniel Falkenham? Had a bit of a lull after that Daytona win. Picked it up with a good result a week ago at Homestead. He's right there in the number 4 spot as well. This is the most wide open the battle for the race lead has been so far tonight in split 1.
And you look at 3rd and 4th, and you look at a tale of two cities with Falkingham winning Daytona, then going through, like you said, that bit of a stretch, and then coming back with a great finish in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series cars last week at Homestead. For Kenny Brady, he's been trying to rally his season together. It was a crash that he was involved in at Homestead last week, finished 23rd. Over at Phoenix, ended up finishing back in 12th. It's been a rocky season for that driver, and Brady, someone who's trying to get to the championship series for the first time. And then you look at someone like Jacob Wilkerson, a driver who was on the bubble last week at Homestead. Bounced further beyond the top 30, needing a good run tonight, and look at the run he's put up so far in this event, going back from 13th to a potential top 5, plus some here with 16 to go.
And he called it. He told us before the season he was going to be strong at a track like Auto Club. He's proving it to us tonight. This guy's been watching the Coke Series since 2013, just wants to be a part of that championship series, and was putting his money where his mouth is, right? I mean, he knew he was going to be good, could be strong at a track like this and run in top 5, maybe even more tonight for Jacob Wilkerson.
And a caution flag is going to set us up for decision time. His second yellow of the afternoon, Kwame Scott, is down in the grass on the front straightaway. That may be where this caution flag comes from, or at least is around it. We'll bring Dylan Duval back into the conversation, our championship series veteran and driver analyst. And as we jump down to split 2, and we will wait on a replay to see what's going on in split number 1. Dylan, up here in split number 2, these drivers at 16 laps to go. Jake Nichols, a familiar name. Caden Honeycutt, all familiar names in what we've seen. But what we've been talking, and you've been watching the race, anything that you've observed in both of these races over the last, call it 20, 25 laps or so that you found interesting in doing your research?
Yeah, I think it's just you kind of see some of these guys. I feel like there's some people that are just racing a little bit too desperate. Something that I've always tried to tell people I've helped in this series is just, at the end of the day, as much as it is nice to win one of these races, it really doesn't matter that much. Like, your goal in this series is to make it to the championship series, and you just need to think points all the time. It's not worth putting yourself in a bad spot to try to take a 6th place car and finish 1st, 2nd, or 3rd with it. Take your 5th place points and move on to the next one and be that much closer to being in the championship series. I think that's just something some of these guys need to really evaluate when it comes to some of the moves they make. Mind you, the racing has been pretty clean. Just a lot of close calls that I feel like are unnecessary for some of these guys. But all in all, I've just been trying to keep an eye on some of those guys who are like towards the cut. Someone who's had my attention top split is Graham Bolin. Exceptional driver, absolutely a championship series level driver who's had just an abysmal season up to this point. And it's watching him, it's just, I've been trying to hope that he has a good run tonight, and he's run very well. He's kind of fallen back a little bit again, but hopefully he can rebound and have a good night.
we get the replay for what happened in the top split. That's Rocky Boyd. Huge slide job. Lost a ton of speed. And he spins up top. And then I mentioned Kwame Scott, who gets a late touch in that one. That is a big-time save at big speeds, but it was Rocky Boyd with the slide job and then the contact with John Forbes and Octavio Rondeletto that led to that yellow. It was an easy decision for the drivers in split one. They all came down pit road for service. They all, except for one or two drivers, took 4 tires. So you're not going to see a lot of shuffling in the split one running order while they run, and we'll join them again by the time they go back green. Dylan, I want to ask you, we talk about pressures, and you mentioned the end objective here obviously is you want to be a top 30 driver. If you're top 30, you get to go to free agency. Do you think drivers find their added pressure in the new way of doing things with the free agency, that they feel like, yeah, I'm sitting in P20 and this might be good enough to get me in, but are they worried that, hey, I got to go through a free agency? Is that why they might, push it to get 18th at the risk of losing the 20 they've already got? Or is that just race car drivers always want a little bit more than they've got?
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of that. I think some of these guys feel like they need to perform to show up for a team and get their name noticed. That's definitely a little bit of a factor. I think ultimately you need to put yourself there first, right? You're not gonna make it to the championship series if you crash yourself in 2 of these races trying to make a team notice you, right? So I think that kind of pressure isn't just a part of this series. I feel like that's a part of our championship series too. For someone, even like someone like myself, right? None of us have a guarantee to be a part of the championship series anymore. Those of us who finish in the top 20 in the championship series, like, we know we're going to be in the free agency, but that still doesn't guarantee we're going to be a part of it. So I think we're all kind of put in a pressure-filled situation, just hoping that a team wants to take a chance on us or believes in what we're doing. And I think there's a lot that goes into that. It's not all on-track performance related. There's a lot of with how you handle yourself on socials, just engagement, stuff like that, and how you carry yourself. But yeah, I think there's a lot of, pretty much everyone in this series, in the championship series and the qualifying series, feels an immense amount of pressure when it comes to the whole free agency situation and if we're actually going to have a spot in the championship series when it starts up.
Split number 2 now on pace, if they can go green for these final 9 laps to finish before the drivers in split 1. We'll try to get you to finish for both of those as always. 8 laps to go in split number 2. Top split coming to a restart with 11 laps to go on the bottom. It is still Garza leading the way, but Daniel Falkenham restarting second is the highest he's been all night. Not a great jump for Falkenham. He and the 54 Machida Brady a little bit slow out of the blocks up top, and Adam Garza controlling the field as a driver who's led more laps than anybody else in that race. So that on the bottom of your screen. Falkenham clear for second. So we are off into the races, but trouble in a spinner behind. A quick caution. Octavio Rondeletto into the tires. Top split will slow down once more. So we'll jump right back in live with split number 2. Battle for the lead is on. Armstrong on the inside of Nichols, trying to seal this thing out. I mean, this racetrack is so wide, Dylan. You talked about how you have to attack it, line yourself up for the straightaways. When you get late in a run, though, the tires are worn out a little bit. Is there a defined better lane? Some tracks you want the bottom, some you want the top. Can you define Fontana in that way, or is it just too wide and gives too many options to kind of pigeonhole it to just one or the other?
I think it's very situational. If you're someone who's in the lead, I think you're just always going to be better on the bottom, as long as you don't have immediate pressure from behind. As soon as you get immediate pressure from behind, you actually have to move up to protect having your right rear taken and let someone get to your outside. As you see Jake Nichols trying to do to Joe Armstrong here. It's really a game about not letting someone get to your right rear, but the bottom is going to be the faster line most of the time. But kind of like what I said before, it's really situational, because if you're further behind, you're kind of just going for clean air. And typically the further you move up, the more likely chance are that you're going to have that. And like I said earlier in the broadcast, it's about funneling back into the correct line on the straightaway more than what it is through the corners.
There's a second look at what we saw out of Ron Deletto. He was one of the 3 or 4 drivers in the yellow before that in split number 1, and that is an unfortunate place to find the inside wall, right at one of those access lanes for safety vehicles and a tire pack. So Ron Deletto's thing is pretty much torn up and done with as we continue to watch against split number 2, who only had that yellow in the very opening lap of this race, continue to wind down towards the end. Kenneth, Joe Armstrong continuing to lead the way over Nichols, Honeycutt, Basin, and Knoll.
But what's great about this Auto Club Speedway is you can never truly build a gap. It is gaps between packs of cars, not just single cars. At Homestead last week, it was very different. If you were a single car that had a ton of pace, you could pull out to 1, 2, 3 seconds and beyond that. Here at Auto Club, you have to carefully eye down those that are behind you because they are always going to be within at least half a second or less. And any of those mistakes can bring some sort of battles like we're seeing right now.
Well, Dylan, we will let you go. You're more than welcome to hang out to the end of this one, but truly we appreciate your insights, and hopefully you guys have an exciting 26 campaign.
Appreciate you guys having me.
Sounds like we're also going to have an exciting finish here in split 2 because a caution at 3 laps to go. Just when I thought Joe Armstrong had kind of balanced things out a little bit at about a 10.5, and Nichols, Honeycutt, Gary might have started to think they were settling. That comes to a close. So now both split number 1 and split 2 are going to have a late race restart. We will go to eNASCAR overtime in split number 2, but that will not happen until split number 1 goes back green. They are getting set, Kenneth, for a restart that'll be 7 laps to go.
It's funny that earlier in split 1, we had possible money stop after a long green flag run and a yellow. Now in split 2, we have the longest green flag run of the night, and now it's a money stop with even more pressure with 2 laps to go on that final restart, and that could lead to more restarts given the way that race goes if it ends up being full of chaos. But now you don't hold anything back. You're going for the diving moves, you're going for the aggression, and you are probably going to see a lot more of those aggressive blocks and shuffles in a line. We saw how Adam Garza set off on that restart, and I love the mentality of him going up to the high side because he cleared, bringing Falkingham in on the draft in turn 1, making sure him and Navarro could level out off of turn 2 and make it harder for them to catch up. As we watch the second split replay, this is a round where Dylan Basin, his driver who won last week at Homestead in split 2, was in the running for the top 5 and got split sideways entering turn 1. But now, no holds barred. This is all for the marbles.
So we'll wait to see when split 2 gets back underway, but in top split, green flag back in the air, 7 laps to go. Can Adam Garza hold on to this thing? We've seen a handful of different leaders, but he's been out front more than anybody. Navarro looking to the outside. Brady in line behind as the number 3 car. You got Falkenham, you got Frisch, you got Tinsley. But up front, how about Andrew Navarro on the outside? Rockets back to the race lead.
What a drive from Navarro, again using that high side as a leverage and getting that right rear of Adam Garza. Sling him back at the exit of turn 2 and then make a run for the marbles. There's trouble at the exit of 4. Wyatt Tinsley goes around. A touch from Falkingham, spinning in the middle of the field. The field tries to get around, and one of the strongest cars of the night in Wyatt Tinsley is most likely done inside 6 to go.
A consequential lap there. Navarro gets the lead back. Wyatt Tinsley breaks into the top 5, and now his race ends there and is ruined. And this looks like a short track racing at one of the bigger tracks that we have here at Auto Club Speedway. A wild way to end this as we get closer and closer to the checkered flag.
And for all of the near misses and close calls that we had earlier in this race, we're just not getting away with them now. You're not getting the big save. You're not getting the eyebrow raise at a moment. It just steps over the line. And Wyatt Tinsley, that's the number 20 machine, way to the outside. In the number 6 spot, it's going to start with the car in front, though. Falkingham there, comes up, not clear, gets into the nose of him at the same time. I think it was Conklin gets into the back. That's where the two cars go spinning. Tinsley goes around in front of the field, and there's about a half a dozen cars with some residual damage. So that is going to push split number 1 to a restart with about 3 or so laps to go. We jump back to split number 2, where they are ready for attempt number 1 of eNASCAR overtime. Do the lights go out? Yes, they do. So they will come around next time, collect the green flag, and if they can make it a full lap and collect the white, the race will be official. It's a 2-lap shootout. If the caution comes out before they can collect the white flag, we'll try it again, capped at 3 attempts at eNASCAR overtime. I don't want to say that the first hour was calm by any means, right? But we saw some drivers pick up spots. There was a little bit of strategy here or there, but both of these races have devolved into chaotic finishes.
Well, let's get ready to rumble, Evan, in these final few laps from Auto Club. I mean, like we saw from Split 1, there's anything on the line, you got to go for the gaps, and it's a game of inches in the draft here at Auto Club, and that's kind of how we've seen a majority of the cautions come out. A lot of them are 2 or 3 cars. Someone tries to think they're clear, they shuffle in the line, and then they make some rear contact with another driver, and that sends them spinning. That's mostly what you're going to find here, but now with much more dire consequences at the end of this one. And look at Wyatt Gray at the front. He's going to hold out for hope that he can maintain his place at the front of this field with so many of the heavy hitters in that second split race right around them. I wouldn't be surprised if they're probably 3 wide at the exit of turn 2 on the restart.
They'll be hungry to get around the 18 of Wyatt Gray as quickly as they can. Wyatt Gray, kind of new to the scene, been iRacing less than 2 years. What a position to be in. Green, white, checkered, overtime, split 2, such a consequential time. This should be a heck of a restart right here.
We saw the outside get the battle for the race lead on the exit of 2 in split 1. What happens here in split 2? Green flag in the air. Wyatt Gray has the advantage. Here comes Nichols to the outside. Look on the bottom. Can Thomas Lloyd get under the leader? 3 wide in the battle for the race lead, but off of turn number 2, it is Nichols. Trouble spin behind. Do they stay green? Green for now, headed to turn 3.
And now they're banging doors in turn 3. Thomas Lloyd goes up the racetrack. Huge crash in the 3rd corner at Auto Club. And Thomas Lloyd, I was about to say, Evan, it was consequential, making the move 3, didn't clear him off of 2. He was going to be trapped in the draft, and now is trapped in the largest incident of the night to make it a 2nd attempt.
Saw that one coming the way they were racing, Alan.
Yeah, look, when you have different levels of aggression, when you know there's so much on the line with only 2 laps to do it, that's what happens, right? These are names that we haven't seen toward the front of the field. It seems like the closer you get, the hungrier you get, and unfortunately, the more aggressive you get.
If you're enjoying the late fireworks tonight, make sure you join us tomorrow, 7 Eastern, right here on the iRacing Esports Network. It's week number 2 of the eNASCAR College iRacing Series Old Dominion Classic at the Martinsville Speedway. Talk about tracks we hadn't been to in a while. Fontana, nearly 4 years, almost a decade since Martinsville was on the schedule. You're not going to want to miss that one tomorrow night. But split number 1, going to try to get it done in regulation. Green flag in the air, 3 laps to go. It's a good, healthy start for Andrew Navarro. Brady gets a nose ahead of the battle for P2 and is now clear completely of Adam Garza.
And look at those 2 cars on the high side. That is Garza and Michael P. Frisch. Those are 2 of the Price Chopper Kansas City Pioneers cars. Wouldn't be surprised if they tried to work together there on the back straightaway. The rest of the pack tries to figure out where they're going to be in the middle of this funnel. Middle 3 wide is where you find Graham Boland, Justin Smith, Michael Cozy Jr., Brian Mercurio, Garrett Maines at the back of this. 4 wide with Quentin Warman on the top shelf. Maines pokes his way through.
Look at how close they are. No one is listening to the Dylan Duval advice of just take what your car will give you. This is what you worry about if you are one of these leaders. If you are Andrew Navarro right now, something happening in the back of the field. Navarro, a pretty healthy lead after just 1 lap, getting down here with 2 to go. Can he hold off all of that competition behind him.
Not going to matter. Spinner off the corner, and split one is also destined for overtime. Sebastian Marin is the car around on the back straightaway. Joked earlier that a P5, I'll take that for a quiet night for the year that this guy has had. Well, he found himself back in traffic for the first time in what feels like ever. And that's where the chaos was. He was 25th at the moment of the caution. It's going to be a lazy spin, no damage, thankfully, for him, that the apron here is about a mile wide in and of itself. So he doesn't get any major damage. Again, for the year he's had, it's not going to be that consequential in the end. But, you know, Quinton Warman, 100-something points back. If you talk about wanting to win the championship in this, well, you really don't want to have a really bad night. And that's the first chink in the armor we've seen out of Sebastian Marin this season. And it really wasn't any fault of his own. So top split will go to eNASCAR overtime, but as they start their caution flag procedure, lights on the pace car and split number 2 go out right on cue. Attempt number 2 at eNASCAR overtime. Nichols, Lateral, Hop, Knoll, and then Basin. Your top 5 runners. For all the Marin talk that we've had, Kenneth, worth noting that Tyler Lateral has the best average finish out of anybody not named Sebastian Marin. Now it's in split number 2, but still worth noting how good the season's been for him as we get a second look at what happened with Marin on the bottom.
That's Christopher Pfeffer on the inside that makes that slight contact, and it's in that weird, awkward area of not clear and clear. And you kind of want to settle in line to pick up the draft, and that's what Marin does, and there's that contact that sends him loose. Guys, I think Marin found his mulligan. I think he found the drop week if it continues to go this way from Auto Club, while Nichols and Lateral are going to figure it out amongst themselves in this overtime restart.
Would love to have a scenario where both split 1 and split 2 are in an overtime restart at the same time, and you just have to go full split screen madness.
Do you, Evan? Do you really, as a broadcaster?
do our producers want that? I don't know.
I believe in you, buddy.
That's one of those be careful what you wish for. The fans would enjoy it. I don't know.
You're up to the challenge.
Yeah, they're giving us side eye in the booth. Let's see. Ken, they wrap it up here. It's split number 2 and attempt number 2 for eNASCAR overtime. Nichols is the purple Ford Mustang on the inside of the front row, who brings us to the green. But Lateral has a great restart. The one car lockstep in line with your leader. Can he stay on the outside, carry speed through the quarter? Nichols clear, caution behind. So they are going to the brink of overtime attempts.
That was a great restart by Tyler Lateral, and that's what you have to do. And you saw him in turn 1. He had no help. Not a single car rallied behind him to give him a push entering turn 1. They all just flanked to the inside lane to try and help Nichols in that line move forward. Lateral did a great job to be aware of that restart zone, stay in line, and put himself right on the outside to be right where he is going to be again for the next attempt. And I'm really curious at where split 1 is going to go, because you look at the 2 price chopper cars, the Chevy and Toyota of Garza and Frisch. I mean, they have had wild seasons, to be fair. Some good, some bad. They've been kind of meandering in the middle. And then Kenny Brady, who's been trying to get a finish like this all season long, has a chance to dethrone Navarro at the end. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, what a position to be in for Kenny Brady on the outside. He's been a contender, but a race-winning contender in a moment like this on the front row in overtime. We haven't seen it yet. I want to see what the casino dealer can do.
Well, if you enjoy some wacky fun, which is what the late race moments have turned into, reminder again that iRacing Arcade is available now. You can scan the QR code or go to iRacingArcade.com for more information. It's cute iRacing, right? That's kind of in the pitch, but it's got officially licensed cars and tracks, including the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championships GTP class and the Porsche 911 GT3s. It's a lot of fun. I've enjoyed upgrading my garage and my engine shop on my little island race shop paradise that I've been building. Yeah. It's a good time. If you haven't downloaded it and given it a shot, make sure you hit iRacing Arcade. Well, the flip side of that is the top level of esports sim racing in North America, and a trip to the championship series still hangs in the balance over the course of tonight and the weeks that will follow. What happens as split number 1? We'll try to get it done in eNASCAR overtime again. Andrew Navarro, who took the lead away last time, leads us to the green flag. It's not a great start, though. Brady is right there. Garza pushing to turn 1.
Powerful restart. That new drafting update means side draft is in effect, so Brady did a great job hanging on the right rear of Navarro to keep him level when they got to the corner. And right here, he's going to have the momentum off of turn 2. He noses ahead down the bumpy back straightaway. Kenny Brady to the race lead, coming to the white flag. Navarro on the inside in turn 3.
He wouldn't let him get clear, though. He hung out on the left rear, and they're going to side draft each other again. The speed advantage to the outside. Brady, can they get there? 3 wide behind. Big block to the stripe. This race is official.
And what's it going to take for Navarro to stay in touch? And does Michael P. Frisch have an inflex in this situation? That's a big dive from Navarro. He loses speed. Kenny Brady back to the front, and he's clear on the back straightaway.
Big block. Navarro's into the outside wall. He's still going, though, slicing to the inside. Conklin into third. What happens between the leaders? Brady, Navarro, the 18 can't hold it down. Kenny Brady is clear off of turn 4 for his first top split win of this qualifying series campaign. Brady over Conklin and Navarro in Fontana.
What a run. That is the auto club that we miss in real life. Kids, if you never saw a race there, that's why we loved that track so much. What a run from Kenny Brady, Garza, Andrew Navarro. What a show that they just put on in that final overtime stint.
This winning moment is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of eNASCAR. First top split win of the qualifying series season for Kenny Brady in the number 54. Well, it's a celebration that was well-deserved. This race was scheduled for 70 laps. He didn't lead until lap 74. Only leads the final 2 in a battle with Conklin and Navarro. But he stuck around all day, started 10th, worked his way through the field, took advantage when it mattered the most for the Inferno Racing machine. Now we join split number 2, who are on their 3rd and final attempt at eNASCAR overtime. Green flag out. Nichols gets the head jump on a 3-way battle for 2nd.
And that's Lattarell in the middle. Remember, top 10 in points. Needs a good run tonight. He's going to hang the right rear on Jaden Hopp, and that's going to allow Nichols to pull away. But just like we've seen all night long, Evan, it takes one trip down this back straightaway to equalize the field once more. Nichols out in front. Hopp is able to clear for 2nd. Now they have to figure out a way to work together in turns 3 and 4. Nichols pulling away to the white flag.
That's going to be the key. The side draft is just going to slow each other down. We saw it when the leaders did it in split 1. You're seeing it right now in that battle for 3rd. Basin, Lattarell, they're aggressive, but they're slowing each other down. Nichols steady with a car length advantage.
And look who's in 3rd, Evan. That's Dylan Basin, spinning earlier in this race. Some troubles after being in the top 5. He's rallied his way back, and that white Toyota Supra has a chance to finish 3rd. But right now, all Jake Nichols for the final time in turn 3.
Trouble. Tyler Lattarell has dropped outside of the top 20. What happened to one of your top scorers? We'll follow that story in a minute, but Jake Nichols was untouchable on the final restart of the day, and Nichols is your split 2 winner. In Fontana, picked his best restart for when it mattered the most. The 73 is en route to victory lane, but what on earth happened to Tyler Lattarell? Kenneth, you had just mentioned he needs a good finish, and something went wrong for him off of turn number 2.
And it starts on that restart. If you don't get a good jump, you are going to get swallowed by the field. And he was middle 3. We hadn't really seen that all race long for the most part off of a restart, but nobody wanted to go with that one car. And when you have side draft around you, when you don't have proper help in the rear view mirror, you're going to get right in the hornet's nest. And it takes one bobble, one mistake, and for Lateral, it is a heartbreaking end to what was a promising look on that last restart of the race.
He had to wait 3 extra restarts to get the celebration in, but this winning moment is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of eNASCAR, as Nichols is victorious in eNASCAR's return to the virtual Auto Club Speedway. Picturesque burnout with the mountains of Southern California in the background. The Nexus esports driver gets the job done and will get the lion's share of the points that were available to those drivers in split number 2. Let's go back to split number 1 for your Coca-Cola move of the race. And it all came down to a late race restart in which Kenny Brady was not the control car, but he did not allow Navarro to get clear. And you could see immediately, Kenneth, how different this restart win than what we saw down in split 2, and the leader was able to get away.
It does, and that makes a big difference. It slows the leader down, it levels them off, and I mean, Brady, without any help from Michael P. Frisch behind him, still does a great job of staying with Navarro. And here, you're not clear, you're waiting for turn 3, but guess what? Like Dylan mentioned earlier in this race, you're setting up for the straightaways, not the corner entry. He's on the outside, he knows he's gonna have plethora of help right behind him in the middle of the draft, even if it's a couple car lengths behind. And it's a great run in turn 4. Nose is out ahead. Half block, second half block. Navarro, a check is still there on a heat check in turn 1. And Navarro here, I mean, this is a send if I've ever seen it. Nearly grabs the apron. Brady does the mental move of pinching him on the inside, forcing him to use less throttle. And that's all she wrote for Kenny Brady to sail out in front and just defend the madness behind him.
He got a bit of a run there, but once that 54 got clear, it was going to be so hard for the 18 to slow him down. And again, deep send into the corner. You can slow that car on your outside down a little bit by camping on the left rear, but not at that much of a speed difference. And the aggressive dive in 1 and 2 meant that he had to be that much more aggressive in 3 and 4. And when you're chasing like that, it put Brady in the optimal position, and Kenny Brady would go on to get the win. Let's take a look at your Coca-Cola full race results. It'll start, though, with a check-in with your top 10 in split number 2. Jake Nichols is the lone Ford Mustang in the top 10. He goes to victory lane ahead of Jaden Hopp and Caden Honeycutt. Dylan Bassett and Nate Stewart, your top 5 finishers in that one, with Jonathan Evans, Carson Bowers, Dallas Pataska, Joseph Galata, and Justin Levine, your top 10. It is a stacked top 10. Take the first half of those names, those top 5 or so in split 2. Those are qualifying worthy points that they leave today with. Now we jump to split number 1, where Kenny Brady leads just the final 2 laps to claim victory over Sean Conklin in second and Andrew Navarro third. We'll get a word with some of those top guys in just a bit. Michael P. Frisch ends up in the number 4 spot. Garrett Lowe, huge bounce back for some struggles after he started in 20th. He gets a top 5 out of this one. Jacob Wilkerson in 6th. Adam Garza in 7th, with Matthew Morton. Quiet night from 25th to 8th. Michael Cozy 9th, and then Blake McCandless spun out earlier. He's a top 10 car somehow.
Yeah, and the next profile, the next 10, I mean, it's similar in the sense of drivers fighting back. Kevin Champagne, Garrett Maines was involved in a near caution, didn't happen, had to drop way back in the field. Started 33rd in the race to 12th. Blake Reynolds 13th, Smith and Bolin the rest of the top 15. Cody Johnson also went sideways on the back straightaway for a non-yellow, drop positions. He recovers to 16th. Alfala 17th, Bias back in 18th. Kwame Scott and Quentin Warman the rest of the top 20, especially after Warman had a good start to the race. It just soured off in that second half.
Justin Campbell will come home 21st tonight, and then you will find Seb Marin, 22nd position. Maybe the first blip we've seen on the resume for him this year. Again, your worst result of 11 gets dropped, so it's not the end of the world. He's still a championship contender, but first time we've seen something maybe go wrong for him. He's ahead of Pfeffer, Busa, and Howell, and then Rocky Boyd comes home behind them. That's going to be the number 26 spot. Brian Beccurio, Wyatt Tinsley, Larry Pace, John Hall, with Daniel Falkenham, John Forbes, Octavio Rondeletto, and Matthew Boniface. Through 34th, it is a look top to bottom at your Coca-Cola. Full race results tonight from Fontana. Let's talk, Kenneth, first with your Split 2 race winner.
And here with Jake Nichols on the win after a frenetic final restart here from Auto Club Speedway. Jake, I imagine that was probably 10 times more stressful behind the wheel than it was for us watching in the broadcast booth. What did you see there on the restart, and how did you play that well to capture the win and stay in front?
Well, I had a teammate behind me with Jaden there, and so I had a little bit of confidence, but the second to last restart, the second place car stayed on our outside, so I was a little worried that he was going to do it again. He timed it perfect before. But thankfully, I know we had good grip. This Nexus Esports car was amazing. I can't thank those guys enough. They built an amazing car. It was so fast all night. We saved our tires a little bit early and then just kind of try to get to the lead, and it worked out. And thankfully, I felt confident 2 was going to work as long as we got the lead, and we got the lead. And I don't think I ever thought we were going to lose that race once I got to the lead there at the end, and I had all confidence in myself and in our car, and thankfully we came out on top.
As someone who's been a part of a lot of these races this year in Split 2, we mentioned how a great finish in Split 2, wins in Split 2, can equalize from some of those places in Split 1. How important has that been for you in this second split to run well every single week, and how that has benefited you momentum-wise throughout the campaign so far?
Well, it's actually, I've had a lot of bad luck, honestly. I feel like a lot of races that we could have ran good, just something would happen. There'd always be a caution at the wrong time. And like last week, we tried to play a little strategy with the tire sets and ended up, instead of a top 5, with like a 28th or something like that. And so I really needed points tonight. So I kind of just wanted to give everything I got. And obviously it's great to get a first place in general. I mean, I love winning. Everyone loves winning, but getting these points are so valuable, especially when you've had a couple rough weeks. It really gets you back in the game again, and like just tonight alone will get me close to that top 30 just with one race. So hopefully we can keep that up with some solid momentum and a few more of my really good tracks coming up.
Well, Jake, it is a crowning moment here from Auto Club. The win here at the California Speedway gets you a dub and a lot of points along the way. Congratulations, Jake, and hopefully we'll see you next week at Darlington.
Thank you. Sounds good.
Jake Nichols, a lot of the trophies in the background. He's got a virtual trophy tonight from Auto Club Speedway, and so does Kenny Brady Allen, a previous best finish of 3rd. Now he's a winner here from Auto Club.
Yeah, from one overtime winner to another. Kenny, first of all, congratulations. You had to do it via multiple overtimes, not from the lead. How do you describe those final 2 laps for yourself?
Crazy. I'm not gonna lie, my heart was racing there. That's about as intense as it gets. And for all the iRacing people who know, Andrew Navarro has given me so much and helped me all the way up until this point. And then I got an opportunity to join my brother's team on the setup side starting at the first of this year. So to not work alongside him, but then win it that way, to have to race him at the end, is like he couldn't have scripted any better. So just crazy last 2 laps.
There were some crazy moments. You have to make that calculation between being too aggressive, but also doing what you need to do for the win. What's that like for you behind the wheel?
Well, I mean, it's just, you got to drive it to the edge but like use your head at the same time. It's a very highly like emotional moment. Just trying to hit my marks and not mess up and not hit the guy next to me. Obviously we're racing very close, and it's a lot going on. Like I said, my heart was racing. I was as nervous as you can possibly be. I'm a person who gets nervous in these races, and I wish I wore my Apple Watch so I could see how high my heart rate was. It was pretty high.
Well, when it counted most, you performed the best tonight, Kenny. So congratulations. You've told us you had a lot to prove. You proved it tonight, and we hope to see you continue that success. Congratulations.
Yeah, and just real quick, thanks to Las Vegas Inferno. They gave me an opportunity to represent them. They are a Coke Series team, so if I do want to get to the big time, I mean, the best way I can do it is win with their colors. So to fight, and all the guys that gave me that opportunity, and then Jarrett Liebert, all the guys at EPI and NFR. It's been great to be alongside them, and obviously eNASCAR, Coca-Cola, everyone that puts this deal together, put us on a big stage. It's very difficult to come here and win these, but somehow did it, so ready to keep going.
And you did it well. You put on the show tonight. Congratulations, Kenny. We'll see you next week. Let's go to the driver who had maybe the best view of that battle, ended up coming home P2. Sean, I know not every second place is the best. Sometimes it's disappointing. Sometimes it's exciting. How are you feeling tonight after being so close?
I feel great. I'll definitely take that P2. You know, we were really close there. I was hoping they would make a little bit of contact on that that last corner there, but it all played out good. I mean, this is a really good points night for us. I was really starting to doubt myself a little bit in this new B car update. Just really couldn't get it down with the new aero model, but tonight we had a lot of pace and we were able to carve from 24th up to 2nd. So yeah, that's a fantastic night in my book.
I was watching. I was calling the race home in my mind, and I see your car creeping. You chose to go to the outside. Will you replay that final move, that final corner in your head at all?
Not really. I feel like the momentum from the top wouldn't have got me to those guys by the time we reached start-finish line. So I just threw it on the bottom, see if they would wash up, and just got everything that I could. I wasn't going to make any crazy moves. I mean, even restarting from 6th, I just told myself no crazy moves here. We put on a heck of a performance coming up from the back and just need to get a solid finish here. So, yeah, definitely no crazy moves from me. Just wanted to get the race done.
Yeah, you got it done. You got a great finish. As you said, great points, one step closer to making the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Championship Series. Keep it going, my friend. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
All right, great show, guys. I mean, great show, top split, overtime finishes. Good stuff tonight.
Yeah, we saw a lot of restarts there late, which is kind of been the opposite of what we've seen all year, right? We've seen a lot of green flag races and strategy tonight. A little bit of chaos in the closing moments in Fontana. And if you like chaos and you like a challenge, we've got just the thing for you, because Darlington, Kenneth, going to be next up in 1 week's time as we continue to roll on now into the second half of this qualifying series.
I've harped enough, Evan, about how this part of the schedule is so tough. Now it's a track too tough to tame. Darlington Raceway, such a fantastic track in its own right. Cup Series was just there last weekend. Lots of fantastic racing, plenty of tire fall off and comers and goers to the field. We're going to see a lot of that, maybe a bit more in this qualifying series. And again, drivers are giving it their hearts in this second half. That's where they turn to find their identity for a top 30 spot. And they've got to close it out with these O'Reilly cars here and then at Bristol next week. It's going to be great.
It's going to be a lot of fun. We hope you join us for that one as we head to the track too tough to tame and the Lady to Black for round number 7. Until then, though, that is it for us here tonight from Fontana. On behalf of our entire team at eNASCAR, iRacing, and for your broadcast team tonight. For James Pike and Ryan Vargas on our Countdown to Green crew, for our driver analyst, Dylan Duval, and for Alan Cavana, Kenneth Bueno, myself, Evan Pasoko, I want to say thanks for tuning in as we get set to do it again in 1 week's time. Don't forget, tomorrow night, though, it is the NASCAR College iRacing Series Old Dominion Classic in Martinsville. It's a 7 o'clock p.m. start here on the iRacing Esports Network. And then we are back next Tuesday, March 31st, from iRacing's virtual Darlington Raceway. That race and every race of the 2026 eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Qualifying Series can be found right here on the iRacing Esports Network. Until then, good night from Fontana. Congratulations, top split winner, Kenny Brady.
You gotta take the lead.